the Supreme Patriarch, the Sankaraja, gave an order. It was 1928, that from now on, no bhikkhu would give ordination to women, either bhikkhuni, either sikhamana, or either samaneri. So ever since then, 70 years ago, we never had any ordination. And this order is still valid. I would like you to consider this order a little bit, because we always say we follow Theravada. Theravada started from the very first council, 3 months after the Buddha's death. At the first council, it was agreed that because they could not decide, the Buddha allowed that minor rules could be given up later on if you find it cumbersome. But they could not agree which one were the minor rules and which one were the heavy rules. So they agreed that they will take everything as it is. No adding, no taking away from what was handed down. But this order of not allowing bhikkhu to give ordination to women, is this not adding to something of the original Dharma Vinaya? So that is the big question that we have to handle. So in the year 1971, my mother came to Taiwan to be the very first woman to receive ordination from Taiwan. Her ordained name was Ta Tao Fa Si. She was ordained at Sung San Temple. She went back and she started her own temple, well supported by the lay people, but not recognized legally by the Sangha. I, as academic, I forgot to introduce myself. I was in as an academic for 29 years before I became ordained. I am the youngest novice in this place, in this congregation, not yet fully ordained. I hope to be fully ordained next year. Well, during my academic years, my duty was a historian, recording all that happened to the Bhikkhuni Sangha. Whoever was ordained where, I would be there. You know, you name it 1988, you know, when Dhammavati was ordained from Nepal, I was there. 1996, I was not there at Sarnath, where Venerable Kusuma was ordained, but I recorded her story. 1998, when they gave ordination in Bodh Gaya, I was there reporting. Not quite, I did not really have a picture of myself that I would end up being ordained too. So in the year 2001, I went to receive ordination from Sri Lankan lineage. I wanted to do it differently from my mother, because when my mother was ordained, people always say, she's Mahayana, you know, doesn't belong to us, Chinese. Even though I try to tell them that the ordination lineage is the same, but nobody wanted to listen, always discard her, you know, take her as Mahayana. I was looking for a lineage that would work in my country, and Sri Lanka is the closest, because at my age, I could not possibly learn to recite Chinese chanting, and the Pali chanting would be easier for me. Of course, my preceptor, Venerable Sattha Sumana, she has not completed her 12 years as a bhikkhuni, which is the requirement according to the Dharma Vinaya. But according to the Buddha, he said minor rules should be given up in the future if the Sangha allow, if the Sangha permit. And in her case, the Sangha permit her to be preceptor. So I take it that I'm taking the correct lineage from Sri Lanka. This is very important, you know, this crucial point is very important because people always ask about the lineage. Then I came back, I was ordained in Sri Lanka in February, trying to keep a very quiet life. Then I was invited for a television interview on 3 programs. This was a military channel. all of a sudden, all the 3 programs were banned. The mass media were really interested. Why did they ban my interviews? Other channels then approached me and asked me to give even more interviews. So ever since then, I became, it's like an explosion. You know, I was trying to keep very quiet, and suddenly it became an explosion. And the mass media, now we live in the mass media world, we live in IT world. So every paper was reporting about my ordination. All the channels, television channels, had my interview. The Sangha officially has not said anything about my ordination. They could not, because number one, I do not belong to them. According to them, I do not belong to them because they have not recognized the Bhikkhuni order. Number two, I have not done anything wrong for them to investigate. So my case will never come to the cabinet of the Sangha unless I myself propose and ask to be considered into the Sangha. So officially, they have not said anything, and they cannot say anything about my ordination. But some monks have been giving interviews. You know how the mass media would go to use the microphone, you know, interview this person, interview that person, and created so much battle, so to say. They spend so much money on printing these papers. It has been on the headline for 2 months, 2 full months on daily newspaper. Some people have been doing nasty trick, you know, of sending nasty letters. You know, some of our friends here also received letters that 5 pages letters have been sending out to Sri Lanka to different connections that I do have, saying how bad personality I am, how an imposter that I am. So whatever bad things that they have written about me, I publish it in my newsletter. I'm recording it. I'm recording it for the future. For those who walk this path, they will know and they will be prepared. My friend from Sri Lanka reminded me that watch out that they will play what you call character assassination. And unless you really practice, you cannot maintain the inner calm, the inner peace. Once you are ordained, we look for inner peace. And I think it's very important that we must always believe that Dharma will guide, Dharma will protect. Now, there was one very effective thing that they did was the Sangharaja's letter. Sangharaja meaning Supreme Patriarch. The Supreme Patriarch went to hand out certificate at the Buddhist University as he was on high stage, you know, handing out certificates to the monks. Down below at the audience, they were handing out, you know, like it looks like a letter from the Supreme Patriarch condemning the ordination of Bhikkhuni and even curse those who support Bhikkhuni Sangha. Now, the media, the mass media who were not present in that place thought that it was his speech. So they published outside, published in the newspaper, and many people outside thought that it has come to the end. The issue of Bhikkhuni Sangha has come to the end because the Sangharaja already said that it's a no-no. You know, so that became very effective. You know, in my temple, when I hear the bell, we do the chanting. So I will not trouble you with what happened. You know, I'm sitting here, no, that Dharma protects. Instead, I will give you a chanting. It's a chanting of praising of the 13 Arahats. This chanting is written in Pali, and nobody ever chanted it in my country for 200 years ago. So I would like to chant that for all of us and ask for the blessing from the Bhikkhuni Arahat Theri in the past, with your permission. It will take 2 minutes, just. Ratanyunang Bhikkhuninang Khodami Chinnamaducha Tapita Akathanam Hi Satha Soting Karotuno มหาปัญญานมัคคัทธาเขมาเทรีติปากตาสาวิกาพุทธเศรษฐสะสัทธาโสทิงกโรตุโนเทรีอุปลวันนาจะเอธิมันตีนมุตตมาสาวิกาพุทธเศรษฐสะสัทธาโสทิงกโรตุโนเวนยาทรินังอาคาปตาจาราติวิสุตาทาปิตาอาคาธานามหิสัทธาโสทิงกโรตุโนธรรมกะทิกาปวราธรรมทินาตินามิกาทาปิตาอาคาธานามหิสัทธาโสทิงกโรตุโนชายิกานังภิกขุนีนังนันทาเทรีตินาเมสาอาคาธาเนทิตาอาหุสัทธาโสทิงกโรตุโนอาราธวิริยานังอาคาโสนาเทรีตินามิกาทาปิตาตาทธานามหิสัทธาโสทิงกโรตุโนทิพจักขุกานังอาคาสกุลาอิติวิสุตาเวสุทธนยนาสาปิสัทธาโสทิงกโรตุโนกุณทลเกสีภิกขุนีขิปาปิญญานมุตตมาทาปิตาอาคาธานามหิสัทธาโสทิงกโรตุโนเทรีภาตกาวิลานีปุปชาติมนุสรีตาสังเยวะภิกขุนีนังอาคาโสทิงกโรตุโนเทรีตุภัตตกาจานามหาปิญญานมุตตมาชิเนนะสุขทุกขังสาสัทธาโสทิงกโรตุโนลูกจิวรธารีนังอาคากิสาปิโคตมีทาปิตาอาคาธานามหิสัทธาโสทิงกโรตุโนสิงคาลมาตาภิกขุนีสัทธาทิมุตตานมุตตมากโรตุโนมหาสันติงอโรขยัญจะสุขังสัทธาอัญญาภิกขุนิโยสัพพานานาคุณธราภหูปาเลตุโนสัพพยาโสกโรคาติสัมภวาโสตาปันนาทโยเสขาสัทธาปัญญาศีลาธิกาภาคโสกะเลสัทหานาสัทธาโสทิงกโรตุโน These are the names of 13 Arahat-theris who have been praised by the Buddha for being foremost in their wisdom, in their Vinaya, in their miracles, in their observing Vinaya, etc. So as we mention their name, we also praise them and we also ask them for blessings. And I think we need their blessings for our conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable Dhammananda, for your personal and very moving account. And we cannot help but wonder what makes the ordination of one woman so threatening to the authorities. Our next speaker comes from Vietnam. It is the Venerable Thich Nhu Han Hue, and her translator is the Venerable Thich Hue Thi, and they both come from the Vien Gio Meditation Center.
Namo Sakyamuni Buddha. Good afternoon, dear Dhamma friends. We Vietnamese nuns are very honored to be invited to this conference and very happy to have this opportunity to share with you our practicing experience. And we'd like to give you a scope of the Vietnamese Buddhist nuns' activities in general and the activities of our nunnery. Now, I will talk about Vietnamese Buddhist nuns in general. The renaissance of Vietnamese Buddhism after the death period under the French colonial regime was in full swing since 1963. In the old days, nuns' activity wasn't worth mentioning. In 1958, for the first time, we Vietnamese nuns had our own separate leadership team. After then, more and more nunneries appeared. Buddhist schools for nuns also came into existence all over Vietnam, especially in Huế, Nha Trang, Sa Đéc, Saigon, and so on. There were many famous, brilliant master nuns, but their activity was limited to temple building and disciple training within their own pagodas, or taking part in managing non-Buddhist schools. The preaching of the Dharma was still monks' field. After 1975, under the new regime, Vietnamese Buddhist organization was reformed. Nuns' leadership team didn't work anymore. Nevertheless, as the special fluctuation of Vietnamese Buddhism, our monks and nuns' activity depend almost only on their own masters. So nunneries have again activity depend almost only on their own masters. So nunneries have again appeared in great number, and the nun population increased to an unbelievable amount. In Vietnam, we can say nuns' population is 3 times as monks. We can see nuns everywhere. Whenever the National Buddhist Congregation opened Buddhist school and university, non-student population is always the overwhelming majority. All the same is with the examination result. Nuns win the higher positions. Nuns' control standard has been raised considerably. That's a great advance in compare with our own days doing domestic work within pagodas. Now, our nuns are interested in registering for courses and at secular universities in the country, as well as in foreign ones, such as those in India, China, Taiwan, Australia, and France. However, it's a pity that non-preachers who take the noble duty of spreading the Buddha teaching to people are too few. Most of us going for studying, while the other for charity activities. These are manifestations for the benevolent and compassionate spirit in Bodhisattva practice. But in my poor opinion, it isn't enough. If we haven't mastered our mind, we'll be easily spoiled while going about doing social work. How can the result be good? Many of us fall to indulging in pleasure and fame. Some even have to return to the mundane world and works to be subjects for critical comments. Therefore, the mind training according to the Buddha wish, helping people to realize and manifest their own Buddha nature, has to be considered essential. That's why a lot of nuns want to come to practice at Chan nunneries. My Chan nunnery. Our nunnery is named Viên Chiếu. Viên Chiếu means the shining of the perfect wisdom. Founded in 1974, it was the first Chan nunnery of Chan Master Thích Thanh Từ VI in Vietnam. We were at the beginning only 15 determined nuns. Because of the war, we had a very hard time then. We lacked food, clothes, medicine, even shelter. We had to clear a portion of the jungle almost with bare hands to build a place to live and practice. We all were from the city, so we didn't know much about manual hard work and agriculture. But we were young with a strong faith in what we think the Buddha's teaching. We struggled hard during 28 years to improve our place. Day by day, more and more eager nuns and lay women have joined us. And now we've grown our own rice and vegetable and sold the surplus. Today, our nunnery is the community comes up to 100. The joining nuns have increased so greatly that we have to open 10 more Chan nunneries for roughly 800 nuns. We practice under the guidance of then Master Thích Thanh Từ, one of the most admired masters in the present time in our country. He has revived the Zen spirit of the old days, especially the golden age of Trần Dynasty with Trúc Lâm the Great ascetic, who had been King Trần Nhân Tông, 13th century. At the end of the 20th century, our master was the first to open Chan monasteries and Chan nunneries in Vietnam. Our way of practice. What's the purpose of our practice? Is to live truly to our own Buddha nature. How to do that? We're usually carried away by our minds and less thinking. To master the mind, we have to get it free from attachment to things or delusive ideas. There are several methods to do that. Our way of practice is affected by those of the first 6 Chinese patriarchies, especially by Patriarch Bodhidharma's teaching on mind mastering given to Patriarch Huiker and Patriarch Huinan standpoint. To take no thoughts as our object, non-objectivity as our basis, and no attachment as our fundamental principle. We turn inwards to watch our mind. When we see thoughts coming and going, we keep ourselves awake, not to be involved or carried away. Once we aren't carried away, we live with a non-dualistic mind, and thus to live truly to our own Buddha nature. Daily life. We get up at 3 a.m. to sit for meditation until 5 a.m. After breakfast, we do our respective work. Some go to the rice field, some to the vegetable garden and orchards, some to the kitchen. The bigger our nunnery becomes, the more new fields we have to work. To teach at Buddhist schools, to have regular Dharma Buddhist classes for our Buddhist people, to receive guests, to write books, to train the children in the neighborhood. We also have a clinic providing free medical care for the local population. The morning chorus and at 10 o'clock. We have lunch at 11. In the afternoon, we either study sutra and chant master teachings or sit for meditation from 2 to 4 p.m. After that, we continue doing the course until 5 p.m. We have a light dinner and relax. We chant the sutra at 6 p.m. The evening meditation sitting is from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. We go back at 9 p.m. That's our daily life. Dear friends, at the present time, violence has dramatically increased all over the world. People complain this modern life gives us too many stresses and strains. More and more of us suffer from mental diseases. How many people among us can tell we've found peace and feel happy every day? We can't be at peace with a troubled mind. Let each of us find peace in ourselves. Then the world peace will surely be restored. We have better chance ourselves than change the world. And the purpose of our mind training is to get this inner peace. We'd like to contribute to the world peace by giving people the Buddha's teaching. Anybody who makes an effort to practice under the guidance of his teaching will see the wonderful effect. This gives her faith, which helps her to make more and more progress until we succeed. These are my own ideas. I hope I will learn more experience at this conference to contribute more to world peace through Buddha's teaching. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you so much, Venerable, for telling us about the recent history of Chan in Vietnam and also about the history of your monastery and your daily practice. Our last speaker comes from the Yamjang Choling Monastery in Dharamsala, in India. And she is the Shramanera Pacha Lobsang Chodon, and she will speak to us about the educational challenges faced by young women who become nuns in the Indian Himalaya regions.
Especially to all of you, to my most respected my teacher Venerable Malaysia Somo, and all my Dharma brothers and sisters, and all the staff of Sakyadhita organization. Today I would like to talk about understanding Indian Himalayan Buddhist women. Before my talk, I would like to introduce very briefly about myself. My name is Lobsang Chodon, and I became a nun when I was only 13 years old. Before I come to Jamia Chodon, I was in Spiti with my family. Understanding Indian Himalayan Buddhist women. The Indian Himalayan region stretches across the northern border of our country and includes the regions of Ladakh, Zanskar, Lahaul, Spiti, Kinnaur, Garhwal, Sikkim, and Montauban. Many of these areas are mountainous, with a severe winter climate. As a result, the people are scattered and the standard of living is not so high. Mahayana Buddhism has been the religion of the people in these areas for 1,000 years. Many excellent and well-known female Buddhist practitioners have come from the Indian Himalaya region. One example of an outstanding practitioner was a nun from Zanskar, from Dorje Jongnaneri. Her name was Jomo Shilama. In Sanskrit language, Jomo means nun and Shilama was the name of her village. Because of her strong and sincere practice, one day while she was praying in the assembly hall of Dorje Jongnaneri, she flew up and out of the window in the roof of the assembly hall and was never seen again. Many of her possessions, including her ritual hat and dharma books, are still on display at Dorjejong Nunnery. There are many other stories about famous women practitioners in the Himalayan region. This shows that if one makes great effort, it is possible to achieve high realizations in female form. Lay women's knowledge of Buddhism. From childhood, most children learn from their mothers. In the Himalayan region, every child learns the basic principle of Buddha Dharma, specifically to practice ethical discipline and refrain from the 10 non-virtuous actions. Though Himalayan Buddhist lay women do not receive a very detailed education, they have very strong faith in the three jewels. Although they often struggle financially, they are happy to make offerings of whatever they can to the Sangha. These offerings usually consist of barley, butter, and dried cheese. Most girls from our areas get a chance to go to school these days, though in many families the education of the boys is still considered more important than that of girls. The education that children receive in government school is unfortunately not very good. Not only that, but our own local language and culture are also almost ignored. Of course, it is important to learn the national language and understand the mainstream culture, but some way must be found to give girls and boys a firm grounding in their own primary language and culture, to make them knowledgeable about it and proud of their own Buddhist culture. In this way, the Buddhist religion, which is very much a minority religion in India as a whole, can be preserved and continue to be beneficial for our people. Because young Buddhist lay women do not have a proper understanding of Buddhism, they start to lose their religion if they leave their home areas to study outside at a college of higher education, or if they marry someone from another community. Our positive development is that private schools have been started where children are receiving an education that is more directed towards Buddhism and our own culture. In my home area of Spiti, for instance, about 300 children are receiving a much improved, low-cost education in this way. This year we are building hostels specially reserved for girls, making sure that at least half the students will be female. Some financial help is received from the government and the rest has come from private fundraising. Nuns in the Indian Himalayas. As mentioned earlier, there have been many famous nuns from the Himalayas. Often, when a girl becomes a nun, she stays at her home. She receives no secular or philosophical education. She may know how to read text, but she is not taught to consider their meaning. Since there is a great shortage of qualified teachers, male or female, in our nunneries, nuns often do not get a chance to study their religion properly. Often they then stay at home acting as little more than servants. Some years ago, Venerable Malaysia Somo began to have nunneries in Spiti, Kinnaur and Janskar, but it has been very difficult to find excellent teachers because of the remoteness of these areas, the harsh living conditions. The number of nuns living together in any one nunnery is therefore very small. Venerable Dr. Chirang Palmo, who studied medicine at the Tibetan Medical College, Mejikang, in Dharamsala, returned to her native Ladakh and developed a program of studies for pre-existing nunneries. She has also found it difficult to find excellent teachers. The Indian government has some funds available for building classrooms and hostels. My nunnery Jamia Chuling. In 1988, Venerable Malaysia Somo founded Jamia Chuling with the vision of educating Himalayan Buddhist nuns who would otherwise have no opportunity to receive any formal schooling or spiritual education. Jamia Chuling is a non-sectarian institute that recognizes the beauty and value in understanding all Buddhist traditions. Each programs integrate meditation, philosophical debate, and community awareness as a daily practice. The institute is in Dharamsala, close to His Holiness Dalai Lama's residence in exile. Many nuns from the Indian Himalayan region came to study at Jamia Choling. We are among the first group who arrived in 1989. Since then, we have had the opportunity to study 5 major Buddhist philosophical texts. We have had many excellent and well-known Buddhist philosophy teachers. We are among the first group of nuns in recent times to have the chance to study these major texts that were traditionally studied in monasteries. We have had the chance to study for the last 13 years because of the kindness of Venerable Karma Leshik Somo and other Buddhist friends who have supported us. His Holiness the Dalai Lama has encouraged many improvements in this education of nuns in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. For instance, in 1995, he instituted a winter debate tournament where nuns from nunneries in India could gather every year to develop their understanding through reasoning and argument. This has benefited our studies greatly. Previously, only monks had this custom of attending a winter debate season, or Jang Bunjo as it is called. Other Indian nuns are now studying well in nunneries in India set up by the Tibetans in exile. When we have finished our studies, our main aim is to improve Buddhist education for women from the Indian Himalayan region. Some of us will go back to our home areas, but our nunnery, Jamia Choling, will remain an important center for training women Buddhist teachers. Since Dharamsala is very important center for Buddhist studies, so there is a great need to extend our facilities there. If we can raise the money to build a many new hostel and so on, we will increase the enrollment of nuns. Many will be from poor families and will need outside financial help to study in Dharamsala. We hope that we Indian Buddhist nuns who are now receiving a good education can have a positive influence in reviving the Buddha Dharma in the Indian Himalayas and also in bringing peace to the wider world, Buddhist and non-Buddhist alike, in accordance with the wisdom and teaching of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings avoid equanimity free of bias, attachment, and anger. May all sentient beings not be spared from sorrowless bliss. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And it is wonderful to know that there is hope for your country because you and your group are being formed in India and you'll go back there to teach. I don't know, is there time for questions? I leave this.
5 minutes. Yes.
5 minutes for questions, so be quick. Yes, here, please.
Just a quick question to clarification to Nivedita. Get sons, you said putra.
Okay, thank you. No, not only to get sons, but to get prosperity, to get merit, everything.
Also sons.
Also sons, of course.
So
And
what I want to know is this: the daughters are excluded. That is my question.
offspring, actually offspring. But in Southern Kundrik it is mentioned like Kulputra. Kulputra. So you may consider sons or daughter both, I don't know. But it is for offsprings in general practice.
tired from listening to two panels. Now there's a question here.
I like to ask Venerable.
Can you please put on your microphone? We cannot hear you.
Can we get a text of that recitation you made about the bhikkhunis?
Yes, I publish it in the newsletter. It's romanized in English already. And you could get a tape also. I think I have already given one to Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
Yes,
Okay.
the text was written by a Thai monk 200 years ago in Chiang Mai. This part was not recited because it deals with women. They recite the part that deals with the monks and, praise to the Buddhas, praise to the monks, but not to the female arahat.
Very beautiful.
Yes. So I think that it is, in Christianity, they have to write a new liturgy, to fit our own spiritual need. So I think it is important for us to be aware, visualize female,
We communicate directly.
listen to the voice that you said about voice of women. I think it's very important that we become aware, feed our eyes, our ears, our nose, our everything, with the female feature, female femininity, to balance, not to do away with the male. I think that would be wrong, but to balance between the yin and the yang within ourselves so that we become a whole person.
I think this is it. Thank you very much for your patience and for listening. And I'll give it to the organizers now.
Okay, we would like to thank all the presenters once more. And thank our facilitator, Dr. Albedo. Thank you very much. We all have a very long day, and I'm sure that you are all looking forward to getting some rest back to Hua Fan. So we'll now move out to meet the staff, and we'll be, we'll be moved on to the bus, and we'll go directly back to Hua Fan. And except for the local planning committee members, please stay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and also, and also we'll have our dinner at 6 o'clock at Hua Fan. Okay, so we'll now move back to Hua Fan, and then we'll have dinner at 6 o'clock in the restaurant. Okay. Okay, may I also have a Ngalawati from Nepal?
It's all right. Thank you very much. No problem.
그리고 마음가짐은 숨쉬는 들어가는 숨과 내쉬는 숨을 아주 천천히 바로 흡착을 이룬 마음이기 때문에 이 마음이 바로 흡착의 마음으로서 자기 하루를 전달해 주십시오. Our mind should focus on the become the Buddha. That is the purpose of some practice. Should be 자, 그러면 저희 한국식으로 오늘 자선을 이끌겠습니다. Let us practice the way of Korean Zen practice. 각자 자기 나라에서 하시는 방법을 택하시면 좋습니다. If you have already your own method of practice, 코리안과 식구가 코리안과 we will do 10 minutes walking meditation. sit and stand near yourself.
Outside the hall, okay? We have a table there, okay? So please come to the table. And then, especially for those who need to leave on the 15th and the 16th, we need to help you confirm your flights back. For Taipei City Tour, we will visit National Palace Museum. For temples, we will go to Ciji in Hualien and Foguangshan in the village if possible. We will have the detailed itinerary ready for you later. Sorry, but I believe that we would all agree that we do not charge our nuns. Free for nuns. But again, please make sure you go sign up, please. And she's from Italy, but she speaks perfect Mandarin. She'll be speaking in Mandarin, okay? So put your earphone on from now on. You're gonna be listening to the English simultaneous translation. And our simultaneous translator in the back, she's doing a fantastic job. She's not necessarily familiar with all the Buddhist terminologies. But because we just got her in the very last minute, okay, again, in permanent plan, okay. But let's welcome Stephania, and we'll let Stephania begin. Thank you.
各位法师、各位贵宾，大家早安，阿弥陀佛。
Louder, please.
欢迎来华梵大学参加第7届夏加利达国际佛教妇女的大会。我们今天早上研讨会的主题是台湾的佛教妇女。我们开始之前要说明一下会议的规则。每发表人有15分钟的时间来发表，然后呢，发表时间剩3分钟，我们可以抄一次。发表结束了，15分钟到了的时候，我们可以抄2次，超过1分钟会抄3次。好，我们发表结束以后，我们可以开放问题与讨论。我们请大家用1分钟的时间来发他们的问题，要不然没有那么多人可以发问题。好，我们可以先开始。我们今天有5位发表人，第1位是传道法师，传道法师是中国佛教研究院毕业，现在是鸟心寺主持，也是中华佛教派客文献基金会的董事长。传道法师的论文题目是《台湾的佛教妇女》，请师父开始。
主席，各位贵宾，各位善女人，大家好。我可以说是最常作为这个台湾佛教妇女的引言呢，是意外，也是荣幸。传道以1届的比丘身份呢，而获邀呢本届国际佛教妇女大会担任主题引言，想来大概是 本人呢参与了昭和法师会持8建华的实际行动，以及呢写文章支持这一个活动的一个因缘。那么佛教说华不孤其长言方生。那么世界上没有说单独一样事情成功的也是同样的道理世界上有男有女那么在台湾佛教的特殊环境生态来看呢台湾佛教的这个蓬勃发展呢，后面都有一群很热心的妇女无论是在家，无论是出家，在后面支撑的、奉献的他们的心力与精神。那么，甚至当今台湾佛教优秀的佛教女性辈师，无论在法理的研究诠释上，或者社会参与的贡献上，都可以独当一面，而凌驾于我们男性之事。那么，究竟台湾佛教妇女在台湾佛教史上扮演着怎么样的角色功能？期间又经过怎样的转换角色？以下个人呢尝试呢以一位比丘的观点来大家略探台湾佛教妇女的过去、现在与未来。我们先来谈谈台湾佛教妇女的过去与现在。在战前，台湾妇女由于种种客观的因素，而参与这个斋教发生了密切关系他们或者入住斋堂，成为带法修行的斋姑，或者皈依信仰，成了在家常斋的斋教徒。尽管斋教他自己有属于自己的教典以及他的仪式。
师父，对不起，好像。
Okay, English speakers. Okay, there's a volume adjustment on your equipment, so you can adjust that yourself. Turn the volume on. Yeah, the turning thing. Okay, ask your neighbor for it. Turn up the voices. 对不起，因为那个机器他们比较不熟，所以要把那个声量调大一点。对不起，法师，阿弥陀佛。
大一点。OK。虽然这个台湾的这个妇女呢，佛教妇女呢在早期战前的时候在这个斋姑这个斋堂里头生活。那这个斋堂里头虽然它有自己的教典、教义仪式，但是和佛教的禅宗关系很密切，如龙华派，还有先天派，还有金童派等。所以斋姑们常住在安堂。平日呢就过着禅净并宗的清净精修生活。在1895年日本占据台湾前后，台湾佛教僧侣前往中国大陆的闽南鼓山涌泉寺受具足戒的时候呢，越来越多那么其后便在台湾开创了好几个佛教道场。这些试验法派又以时代环境的因素随而聚集于日本曹洞宗与临济宗两宗派下。这是因为那个于谦翁西来庵事件以后呢，为了自保而寄托于日本的两个宗派，并逐渐呢收受了一些斋姑皈依佛门。到了大正时期，台湾各大道场终于有了独立传戒的能力。台湾的佛教史上，于是呢有了比丘尼僧的出现。不过维持斋姑的信仰形式则仍然占佛教的妇女的多数。在1925年四大法脉的这个大湖法云寺的开山祖师觉力法师呢，当时为一善堂的皈依女众徒弟呢，向南延佛教会争取于该堂呢开办女众特别的讲习会，以焉开启了妇女学佛的大门。这此举呢，不但使得妇女接受佛学教育的机会大增，还促使这些斋姑纷纷的改斋堂为佛寺，甚至唤起了部分佛教妇女的自主意识。 以及对于弘法布教乃至于革新台湾尼僧团的使命感，这也是法源寺派下获离譬如是以综合的圆通寺新建的因缘，显见此时的台湾佛教妇女已然从不问世事的隐遁潜修呢，走入社会关怀准备担当这个改造社会的责任。另外有一些新佛教女性则选择赴日本佛教高等学府深造，企图借由佛学素养的提升来扭转佛教妇女备受压制的劣势，如创办法光寺，以法光佛言手的儒学尼师，以及相继白胜长老、弘范比尼二部受戒，最得力的智手天一尼师就是典范的代表人物。在1949年，大批的中国僧侣逃难来台湾，过着流离失所，甚至动辄被关上魔环通毁罪名而被捕下狱的日子信赖台湾出家在家佛教妇女的真诚扶持，一方面给予生活物资实际上的协助，一方面又依止其修学佛法，台湾佛教因而开展了另一番天地。比如贤光、达心、修观、持观4位比丘尼之于慈昂法师的护持又如慈惠、慈庄、慈容、慈仪等佛光山比丘尼众之于星云法师的相继，由此更缔造了比丘尼众护持比丘尼僧、比丘尼僧为法共治的台湾佛教模式。其余呢，如在家佛教女性张清阳居士对于那些来台湾被捕的僧侣的真正的关怀与护持，也可以说功不可没。虽然在台湾佛教当今的这种传戒制度有一些值得我们商榷的，但是在战后这个传戒的制度对台湾佛教僧众清净形象的建立为是别具意义。它同时也是大批台湾斋姑转换为比丘尼身份的重要关键。不过1953年首先发起传戒的大仙寺，却是靠着东山禅师圆融尼师的居间获贤，才得到中国佛教会的认可，终而活着传戒。圆融尼师的高侄天一尼师则更是戒堂上的传奇人物。当年白胜长老还曾经请他代讲沙弥尼戒呢。不过，身为尼众天一尼师在戒场上仍然免不了受到其他比丘甚至沙弥的轻慢，但是他终生致力于比丘尼身份的提升，以戒场教育的贡献，则不容我们忽视的。战后，另外有一件值得一提的是佛学院的创立。1948年，圆光寺的主持妙可和尚邀请正在新加坡弘法的慈安法师来台湾办佛学院，因此带动了台湾的僧女求学的热潮。除此以外，还有应圣导师对于尼众的佛学教育，原本由于不忍出家僧女失学而在福源精舍开办半天课，却在演培法师与一同事贤僧尼师的合力促成之下，创办了新职女众佛学院。应圣导师也因此因缘呢，收了女众出家弟子，如慧瑜、慧离、慧莹等尼师。当时台湾社会的民风保守，为了让逐渐增加的女众弟子接受佛学教育，安心办道，应圣导师也承受了不少质疑的眼光与压力。不过，确实已经踏出战后专为佛教女性办学的第一步。在60年代以后，台湾经济呢逐步起飞，伴之而来的是社会繁荣与教育的普及。由于都市化的结构呢，人心的疏离感加深了， 宗教信仰之于普罗大众也就异形重要起来。加上1971年退出联合国以及继而来的与日本美国断交的冲击再使台湾的政治社会趋于多元化并有回归本土的声音出现。台湾佛教乃至其他新兴宗教，就在这时代淬炼了蓬勃发展起来。身此期间的台湾佛教女性，由于教育水准、经济能力、自主意识已经比较过去提高，而台湾佛教又在很多数的这种僧尼的努力经营之下，逐渐展现其入世立身的活力起来，投入行列、出家行列以及在家护持者越来越多，素质也越来越高。尤其一些杰出的佛教妇女对教育、文化、慈善、医疗乃至于社会关怀、生态关怀等面向的贡献呢，可谓丝毫不让须弥更令台湾社会原本男尊女卑的价值观呢逐渐瓦解，而佛教健康正面的形象日渐势立诸如创办华梵大学的小云尼师，任教于台湾大学的恒清尼师，任教于清华大学的慧妍尼师慈济功德会的正言尼师成立相关尼僧团的心智悟因名家朱尼师，护教护生，从事社会关怀、政治关怀、动物关怀，冯氏学团的昭慧信广二尼师彼等，他们呢所成就的一切，在台湾佛教史上具有其定位。尤其昭慧信广两位尼师以及洪氏学团，更可谓后应顺时代弘扬及实践人间佛教以应顺导师思想的法将乔持。当代台湾佛教如果缺乏上面所举的一群女中丈夫，将失去了非常多的彩色。那么现在来谈谈未来台湾佛教妇女的期许。台湾佛教的信仰者向来是女众多于男众，即使在出家方面来讲，也是比丘尼占多数。根据学者的统计，他比较保守说1比3，换句话说，比丘一个比丘尼就有3位。诚如台湾佛教史学者江灿腾博士所说的他说这些出家尼众呢，他们是台湾佛教各寺院的主力干部、经济大臣和事务专家比丘尼呢多于比丘，这也是亚洲佛教史上罕见的佛教现象，是台湾地区特有的佛教文化所形成的结果可以说，当代佛教台湾佛教表面上是以男性法师为主，而实权呢则是操诸于女性手上。无可讳言的，台湾佛教之所以有当今蓬勃发展，过去与现在的台湾佛教妇女居功结伟但是展望未来的台湾佛教，出家在家的佛教女性又该发挥怎么样的角色功能呢？才不至于呢落入成也萧何，败也萧何的尴尬这个境界呢？这一个命题为是值得我们深思以深探讨。教师与信众之间如果缺乏法义的提示长此以往发展出来的佛教不免情重于法，依人而非依法，所增添的恐将是世俗的烦恼，而非是圣命的提升与进化那更不要谈上超胜于世间的智慧了。所以尽管佛教事业经营得多么庞大风光，办学也好，慈善也好，修行也好，如果对佛法的法要一知半解，甚至知而不行，却尽在人情事功与形式上做功，是呢有相似的佛法，那才是台湾佛教最大的危机。还有另外一个危机，就是来自于在家信众的盲目护持与过多的供养所以在这个地方，我们了解到情为与金钱对凡夫而言，永远是向下沉沦的腐蚀剂。所以对部分的在家女性付出，所以希望 从此以后呢，委婉出家在家的广大妇女呢，都能以此为鉴，建立自己的正知正见，扩大自己的格局视野。那么，比起丈夫我育儿，即使台湾未来尽是比丘尼的天下，希望大家共同来反省与探讨。谢谢。
谢谢专导法师，谢谢，恭喜你。而且对不起，因为这个会议题是新的，今天是第一次用过，所以可以发生麦克风的问题。所以我们请师父发票人会自己调整麦克风的声，让大家既不毕业。现在文法社是相关佛教理中学院院长。文法社论文的题目是提起与反向佛教妇女的自觉。我们请师父开始，谢谢。
主持人，各位大家好。今天我来讲的这个题目是叫提起与放下，其实它的副标题是佛教妇女的自觉。佛教妇女的自觉，在台湾一直还在讨论，而且喧闹不停的是男女的不平等问题。也就是说，常常要在八件法上面去争论谁尊谁卑，或者是生性方面谁尊谁卑的问题，到现在都还没有争论，有一个结果，导致呢，在达赖喇嘛第一次来台的时候，就是1997年3月的时候，他那时候来的理由是说要，就是比丘尼的一个传承问题，要在台湾取得台湾的经验。他第一次来，我个人呢还是有去见他，同时提供了我的建议。他说还在考察，等到第二次呢又来了呢，还是再去看他，还是在考察。所以这样继续考察下去呢，我是觉得说，考察还是要考察，因为这个是传统的问题。所以既然是传统，那我就从传统来说起。台湾佛教大家现在很重视的是一个叫做台湾的经验，所以我就用这样的题目，就是佛教比丘尼在台湾的经验。佛教比丘尼在台湾的经验，就从传统来说，刚才传道法师也已经叙述过了。我所要说的呢，好像他也大部分都说过了。第一个呢，就是当然是历史的溯源跟身份的认同。在台湾的比丘尼实际上非常的幸福，我们有长老大德们，他们认同了比丘尼的这样的身份，因为佛陀的僧团里面呢，佛陀的弟子里面本来就有7众弟子，有出家、在家，而且比丘尼本来就在佛的制度里面有，在中国大乘佛教里面还是有的。所以相形之下呢，我到了南传的国家，到西藏的藏系的国家去看呢，就觉得呢，好像呢，除了身份的认同，在这个地方呢，我们能够得到比丘尼戒。当然也很多人就到台湾来受戒，甚至呢，台湾很多的大德就到菩提伽亚去传戒，还是希望呢，大家能够有这样的身份认同。而在这样的身份认同的当下呢，可以看到的是长老大德的认真跟努力。当然，这个地方也有比丘尼呢，就是孜孜酷，没有忘记自己的身份认同，尤其是主体的身份。这是一个